Did you know this podcast is powered by Acast? Acast is the home of podcasting. For creators looking for freedom to grow their listeners and make money too. And creative brands looking for smart ways to advertise. Podcasters and advertisers in the know Acast. It's time you did too. Visit acast.com to find out more. Acast, for the stories.
A man came to see me today. Said someone was coming for us. I asked him who he was so afraid of. He repeated one name. Totenkopf.
A-D-N.
It's Headphones Neil!
What's up, guys? Headphones Neil here, back with another film review, and in this case it's going to be the 2004 film Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow. So it recently popped into my head as a film to watch just because, I don't know, I was just thinking about old films that I kind of never really remembered or didn't finish, or don't know why I have or had such a positive memory of it, and this movie came into my mind. So I remember seeing the trailers for it. I thought that looks like a pretty interesting film to watch. Didn't catch it in the theater, but at some point I know I did watch it I rented it and watched it. But thinking about it now, or thinking back on it now, I don't remember much of the film outside of kind of the cast and one casting error. So I thought a particular actor was in it, but I guess he was not. So with that, let's jump right into it. So to start off the bat, I do remember as far as the cast goes, as far as Gwyneth Paltrow and Angelina Jolie, and my memory of was minimal as far as Gwyneth Paltrow. I just remember she was in it for some reason, and then Angelina Jolie was the villain, but as it turns out she's not. She's the friend to the protagonist of the film. And my biggest lapse in memory of the film is that I thought for some reason that Sky Captain was played by Ewan McGregor, but is actually played by Jude Law. So in watching the movie, I think the reason I thought that is that Sky Captain is a very Obi-Wan style character, so when you hear him without looking at him, he sounds a lot like Obi-Wan, and then as far as his look is a lot like Han Solo, as far as a smuggler scoundrel type, but then has a personality of Anakin Skywalker. So it feels like, not to say that the movie was kind of trying to mimic those characters from the prequels, but I don't know, it just felt like his character was a very Star Wars-ish character, and maybe the memory of him sounding like Obi-Wan stuck more than I thought. So I thought that Ewan McGregor was in the film when he wasn't. And then we have, for example, other Star Wars-ish elements like the chase through New York, the big chase scene as Sky Captain and Gwyneth Paltrow were trying to escape and chase the bad guy bird plane things. It was very reminiscent of the speeder chase through Coruscant in episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So just a weird coincidence there once I could not get Sky Captain as Ewan McGregor out of my mind. And then a bit of random historical oddities. So I recently watched the Titans of America on which recently aired on the History Channel, and they were talking about how when the Empire State Building was made, and as far as making it a bigger building than the Chrysler Building, they added a spire at the top of the building, and as a promotional thing that was an outright lie, is that they were going to use that spire as a docking station for Hindenburg-style blimps, and essentially people could take the blimp and then get off at the Empire State Building, but as it turns out, it's not feasible due to the high winds and difficulty in holding the blimp in place, which the movie kind of felt like, I don't know if it was on purpose or just as a bit of cool sci-fi-ness, but they actually implemented that in the film as far as the blimp docking at the Empire State Building, and then you have a guy holding a rope to keep the blimp in place so people can get off of it, which seeing it in action does show how ridiculous it is because of the amount of energy and effort and strength a person would need to hold the blimp in place compared to the size of a human person doing the holding. So to me, it felt like it would have been something that would have been better where it's held in place by magnetism, where like the ropes are maybe clamped in place with a magnet or tied in place along the lines of a boat or something. But it feels like it's one of those things that could have been better held in place by multiple ropes rather than just one person, because it feels like there would be a lot of drift going on. And so that's really the biggest of the oddities. So going through the rest of the film, there's a lot less blue than I remembered. So for some reason, I thought that the entire film had a blue tint to it, but I guess it has a more sepia tint to it, more like a yellowish red rustic look. So I don't know. I just thought I had a more blue look, but like I said, a lot of it feels like it's like my memory is not quite what. Like I'm remembering, I guess, bits and pieces or selective parts from it, but not quite what happened in the film. So it kind of feels good to have to rewatch the movie. And then when we get to the mobile airstrip, when the Sky Captain and Gwyneth Paltrow are trying to track down the World of Tomorrow, and they land on the airstrip that's run by Angelina Jolie, it feels very reminiscent of a steampunk-style version of the helicarrier from the Avengers that's run by S.H.I.E.L.D. So I thought that was actually a very good look and very well done. And then towards the end of the film, when we have the victory look with all those different airships and then the planes flying from right to left, was a good look. So in general, I think that was one of the things that was well done. The planes that the enemy used, or the bad guys used, that were flying like planes or flying like birds, was kind of weird, and it kind of took me out of it to have that much, like they have that much mechanism to be able to do that. But then overall, it doesn't feel like they spent.
Did you know this podcast is powered by Acast? Acast is the home of podcasting. For creators looking for freedom to grow their listeners and make money too. And creative brands looking for smart ways to advertise. Podcasters and advertisers in the know Acast. It's time you did too. Visit acast.com to find out more. Acast, for the stories.
Enough time as far as the bad guys go and their technology. So that face, that's the face of Totenkopf being generated by electricity, and the what looks like a Tesla coil, I guess, was pretty cool, but then they don't really explain too much, and by that time they were at the end of the film. So it feels like they could have spent maybe another half an hour or so, maybe even 15 minutes or whatever, to explain some of that technology, or spend more time on the bad guy's base as far as operations go. Kind of along the lines of G.I. Joe, which kind of at the end of the film, that's kind of the vibe I was getting. So it feels like those new G.I. Joe films kind of drew their inspiration from Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, I guess. But I kind of wanted to spend more time with the bad guys and their technology, or more time on their base to see kind of the background of how their technology works, so it feels less jarring. And especially with the final spaceship that they're using as the spaceship version of the Ark, that looked kind of like a Naboo space cruiser, which was kind of cool and futuristic looking, and it kind of works with the whole motif of the World of Tomorrow. But it all goes back to not having enough background on the bad guys and their technology to have that kind of baseline for what their technology is based on, or what's going on, or have that interspersed with the scientist as far as like filler information to kind of bring us up to speed with what's going on in Totenkopf's world with his technology and wanting to leave the planet. So that's kind of all there is for this particular review. If I was to give the film a grade, I'd probably give it a grade of probably about 85%. Overall, I thought it was pretty good. It was a good, fun time. Compared to Rotten Tomatoes, it looks like the critics gave it about a 70% and the audience score is 46%. So as far as it goes for me, overall it was a good movie, but it was lacking on the evil side. It had a good retro look and feel for, you know, a movie from maybe the 20s and 30s. You know, think along the lines of my last review with The Rocketeer, where overall it had that very nice look and feel of the 20s and 30s and 40s, trying to project what the future was going to look like. But it doesn't really explain, or doesn't spend enough time explaining the bad guys and why we should care or fear the world of tomorrow. So it feels like they introduced the scientists and the guys who escaped, but they didn't really hash out that part of the story. So if by the time you finish the film, it feels like something is missing, especially with things like the background with Sky Captain and Frankie, the character played by Angelina Jolie. So even if they had their mission in the beginning, like a prelude to to show what these scientists were doing with Totenkopf back in the day, and they couldn't find out because Gwyneth Paltrow's character sabotaged Sky Captain's plane, so they had to evacuate or something like that. And we have an overview of their lab with the technology and things like that, then that kind of would have filled it out a little bit better. Maybe add, 5 to 15 minutes to the film, but at least it hashes out that story and makes it conclude a little bit better by the time we get to the end of the film. So, like I said, I give it a grade of about a B, right around 85%. Overall good for what they portrayed, but it just feels like there was story missing. So it's hard to really give it a higher grade and say that it's a good movie just because when you feel like a story's missing, there's usually a good reason for it. So that's all there is for this particular review. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything like that, you can find me on Twitter at PatelN01. The website is headphonesneil.reviews for our past episodes, subscription links, supporting the show, and all of that good stuff. And of course, you can support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/PatelN01, where you can get bonus content, access to upcoming content, give recommendations for stuff to watch and review, and all of that good stuff. So you also get an update on my playthrough of Knights of the Old Republic 2 and what's going on with that, and some other stuff that is coming up for the month of June as well. So that's all there is for that. So thanks for tuning into this particular episode, and until next time.
Hey podcaster, meet Acast. We're the top independent podcast network for creators in the know. We empower you to develop your podcast idea, find your audience, and grow listener relationships wherever those listeners are. You'll also find a whole range of ways to make money, from membership plans for paying fans to our fully curated and creative advertising experience. Visit acast.com/network to find out more. Acast, for the stories.